Hello, Mgtows. Hello, man. I just give myself a minute to get ready here. There we go. I'll stop that. Bring myself back up so I can see myself. Let's see what we're talking about here today. Got a little coffee on my beard here. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well today, and I hope everything's okay in most of your lives. And we're going to talk about something I think is important to Mgtow. But first, go your own way, Mgtows. Go your own way. And all your sins from the past are forgiven, and you are new in Mgtow. Happy thought. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about wrapped up in a narrative, wrapped up in anti-feminism, wrapped up in things we see on YouTube, where we often the new guys and often anti-feminists get wrapped up in something. And I wanted to show you two events that changed my view on how I look at the world and how I look at the narrative that the feminists present. And it's not feminism in general and those things. Sometimes what you see is not real. Sometimes it's a production. It's an acting job. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the acting jobs that go on within Mgtow, within the gender dynamics schemes and everything. About 5 years ago, I first started noticing with a band that would tour around, and they would show up everywhere. And the Russian Olympics was in Russia, and we got a band. Let me show you here. Yep, let me do this, share that, and then I'll put up this video here, and hopefully you can see it. There it is. Okay, this is a Pussy Riot. This is Pussy Riot in a sheltered area around where the Olympics were going on. These were the Summer Olympics. And something horrible had happened there. The police came up and they started beating on the women, and the women put this up. I won't play that too long. And but we'll go back to the beginning of this. Here we go. There's the film crew. They're coming up to this area, and you look at this area. There's a big board on the back of this area. They start putting on their stuff, and then this happens with this guy right here. You can see that. You can see that he's got a little whip there, and then you notice his face. Now let me go back down and let me shut this off and bring myself up and stop broadcasting that, because we're going to talk about this for a second. We're going to talk about what you see there. We're going to talk about what we've seen. Let me bring myself back up here. There we go. There I am. And then there I am. There we go. We're going to talk about what you've seen there. So I did the research on this thing, and in that area, in most Western blocks, what you have to do is get a film permit. And you notice the big backup there. There's areas that the Russian media and the Russian government, and in most Western bloc countries, they when they're having a big event like this, what they do is they assign these areas which you can rent, and you can bring in actors, or you can bring in your film crew and do these things. When they come up there and they rented this thing, those police were actors. Those girls were actors at that time. They were acting out a skit, and that made it on the local news. But most people didn't know. They put it up as not... They put it up as being true. Not it's a fiction situation, is what it is. And then I started doing these studies on this, and then I look at they rented. I went to the Actors Guild or whatever it was that I rented. I went and I seen that Pussy Riot had rented. They had rented it through the one cop. If you notice his face, he is an American producer. He funds this stuff. He wanted to take part in that. He wanted to take part in it. So they funded it. The money was coming from America. They rented the place outside of the Olympics that were happening at that time. And then they put on this production and they put it out as real. So I tracked down all these things, and then I got the film permit. And I says to the guys, I says, don't buy into this, guys, because this is just an acting job. It's a con job is what it is. And Mgtow's do your research is what I'm saying. And I got yelled at by a few guys. I think I got yelled at by Sargon. I said, Sargon, that's a total fabrication of what's going on there. Bernard Chapin did it too. He was like, that's as real. These girls are awful, and look what's happening here. And good, they were going good. Look what happened to them. But it's a total fabrication of politics. It's a total fabrication, and these girls get paid to do this. They have paid actresses. Now, let's do this again with the modern one that's happening right now. Right now, this is happening, and I don't want the guys to fall into the trap of this one. We're going to screen share again, and then we're going to go to we'll go to here. This is Top Dollar. He made this one, and there's a girl right there. Can you see that? Can you see that girl right there? Well, this girl's name is Natasha Hooper. You have to do your homework on Natasha Hooper before you start yelling and screaming and bitching about what you're seeing. Natasha Hooper. She's not a feminist. Natasha Hooper is an actor. Here's Natasha Hooper's page. Natasha Hooper, there she is. She's a lovely girl, and she gets paid to do one thing. Natasha is a UK-based presenter who utilizes her speaking and cognitive abilities to maximize the impact of any campaign. Her eclectic interest in modeling experience makes her the versatile candidate for both corporate and commercial endeavors. She has a range of experience, including blah, 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 blah. She's got this blah, blah, blah. She is passionate about live television, editorial photo shoots. She is passionate about social responsibility, mental health, and ongoing things in charities. She gives her money to charity. Her name's Natasha Hoopser. She is an actress. She, right there, is an actress. She will say anything at all that you want her to say on your program, and that just happens to be the program of this morning that was running. When a guest does not show up, let me go back. Let me stop sharing again. Let me go back to my page, and let me put these pages down so we can talk about this stuff. Don't get juked, Mgtow. Mgtow's often one of the qualities of a Mgtow is to look at something, is to analyze these things that go on. One of the qualities of Mgtow is being smarter than the rest. When they put Natasha Cooper up on it, it's not Natasha Cooper that's doing that. She's just a paid actress. Now, when you look at some of what they say about some of the other things, they'll say there were paid actresses in some of these and paid actors that showed up in some of these events, some of the shootings, that's when I think it's taking it too far. But for the most truth of this thing, if you look at those Pussy Riot things, you look at what was happening there, you go back and you do your research on these things, you find out who these people were and what they were trying to present to the world as real news, you'll find out most of the time it's just paid actors and actresses. And all this stuff is right up on the internet. Within 5 minutes, I can find this stuff. I can tell you who these people were, what they were doing. I can tell you what she was doing was reading off of a script there. So getting mad at her is ridiculous. Who should you get mad at? Who should Mgtow or the anti-feminist, and basically the anti-feminist? Who should the anti-feminist get mad at? Well, it's the TV station. It's who owns the TV station. It's who's presenting that, who's doing the writing for that, and why are they doing that writing? They'll put her and they'll give her her platform. And if she gets a popular platform, she'll do what anybody does. She'll do what any person does. Me, you, Sargon the Arcad, whatever his name is, from Alex Jones to any of the alt-right idiots. And if you're given a platform and you don't take advantage of that platform, you're an idiot. And she's going to do that too. And she's going to play up whatever message inspired the hate. And it's the Brittany, whatever her face name is, rule in this. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad publicity. Publicity is the same. And she will ride that thing and collect all that money that she's making for these events. And she'll collect every dollar out, and she will squeeze every dollar, just like you or I would if we were ever given a platform. I would squeeze every dime out of it, and I would say, thank you. And I would say, I'm no fool. Now, when you start thinking about that kind of garbage inside of Mgtow, when you start thinking about that kind of anti-feminism garbage inside of Mgtow, you start seeing this stuff and you start saying, I do not want to, I am Mgtow, as a Mgtow, I'm pulling away from these things. I'm pulling away from the press. I'm not buying into the garbage. I'm not buying into what I've seen. I'm developing a philosophy that I can live by, that assists me. And I don't want nothing to do with the fake world out there. And I don't want nothing to do with the morning TV shows. And I don't want nothing to do with this world that's the theater of the absurd. When we look at the Pussy Riot thing, and we look at the theater of the absurd, it becomes just total absurdity when you got people. And what they really want you to do is they want you as a good little sheep, the good little camel carrying the packs, which Nietzsche was talking about. Don't be that slave camel. And there's much more to that philosophy than being a slave. If you ever read that thing, he presents the whole thing in he's presented as a slave camel. You're carrying your master's packs. That's the way Nietzsche. He didn't say slave in the sense of you're going to beat you and make you work on a farm. He was saying there's three kinds there. And I expect people to read this stuff, and I expect Mgtows to know this sort of stuff. But lately in Mgtow, we got all kinds of guys going, making people, giving people, well, all you're doing is making this person relevant in the argument. When we do that, when we go and we click on these things, they got to click, they sell you an ad, and you make them relevant. I was saying this about Anita Sarkeesian. If it wasn't for Thunderbolt, Anita Sarkeesian wouldn't even have been mentioned ever, or Thunderfoot. Thunderfoot, as much as he made off of that whole thing, of that Gamergate thing, he made Anita Sarkeesian relevant. You just ignore these people. You just ignore these things as a Mgtow because you become the problem in that. When Sarkeesian wanted money for her next thing, she came around. And then she released that she was coming around, and she put this video up. And then Thunderfoot did a video on it, and then 500,000 of his people went over to Anita and started saying awful, god awful things. And Anita Sarkeesian, like a good little troll, started playing up on that. And then plus they had 500,000 feminists coming over there. Anita Sarkeesian was looking for $30,000 to fund her newest project, and her newest project was some Girl Scout some Girl Scout issues that they were going through. That she was sponsoring. She was being sponsored at that time because I did do my homework on this. She was being sponsored by Samuel Adams beer, and that's why I say never drink a Sam Adams in your life, because Sam Adams was sponsoring a portion of this camp that they were setting up, and Anita Sarkeesian needed $30,000 for the rest of the camp. Guess where she got the $30,000 from? Yeah, you and me going over there and clicking on that video. Anita Sarkeesian made the $30,000 that she needed, and we did it for her. Thunderfoot did it for her. Sarkhan of Akkad did it for her. Because every one of his fans went over there and blah, 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 and watched that. Never make someone relevant once they're not relevant anymore. And that's our sin when we buy into these things. And that's our sin when we go look at these things like the Pussy Riot stuff and we start clicking on the articles, and then there's all those ads selling. And we know, and somewhere deep down within the pits of your soul, you know that that's not real. You could look at that tape, you could look at that film, and you know it's not real. But you want to so buy in, and you're all wrapped up into the narrative. You want to be a part of the fight, the gender dynamics battle that's going on. And that's what I see with these kids nowadays. They want to be a relevant part of the fight. So anytime something happens, the news knows this. The organizers of what we call feminism, that's not real, because they're just pushing a social issue. It's all a social issue, and feminism is not real, but they will they will go hire an actress. She will be on This Morning show. She will read whatever is said on the script, on the teleprompter, and then she will go home that night. And that's what Natasha Hooper did. That's what that little girl from Harry Potter did too. And we all bought into that, and we funded her by every time we clicked on her. And we made this evil thing, this evil demon. And that's why I started calling this evil. We were fencing with windmills. We were making this evil demon way too big. And it wasn't feminism, this grassroots movement of females overdoing it. We were doing that to ourselves. Now, there's two ways to play this game, as in Mgtow, and I tried to explain this to guys in here, but most of the people are like, "Oh, no, Joe." You can either do where you can become an actor too and start making these films like guys being punched by women, or this happened at the airport, or this happened here, or you can start buying in, and you can start presenting yourself as an actor so you can go on these shows. And I used to do this, and I used to do this in a forum before I came to Mgtow, before I came to the MRA. I was a Christian speaker. And when I would come up, they would go, I would never even ask this, what is your topic? What do you want me to say here? And about 14 minutes or so before the show, I'd mold the topic into my thing, my spiel, which I was saying. And then they would always go, that was genius. I'd speak for an hour on whatever topic they wanted, and I would just insert it into this, and then they would give me my money, and I would go away. And to think I believed in that, and you can disagree every day. You could have called me names every single day after I left Indiana or wherever the frick I was. You can call me names for the rest of your life and say, I hate that guy. And it doesn't matter, because I was just reading from a script that someone hired me to do. And that's the same thing these women are doing. And that's what feminism is. Don't be mad at the actors. Don't be yelling, because that's what they want, because they're just avatars. They're just fake people that are going to disappear out into the ether with their pockets full of money and going, you guys are idiots. And that's what they say to us. They're saying, oh, you guys are idiots. They're molding the social scheme within social media is what they're doing with their actors, with their fake dialogue and their scripts. It's just like Alex Jones. He's just an actor. Ben Shapiro is just an actor that that's got a a little bit of notoriety, so they bring him on these shows to say exactly what he does and do exactly what he does. And I don't expect anything from Ben Shapiro than what Ben Shapiro does, because that's what he gets paid to do. That's his bread and butter. That's his job. But I never buy into it as being real. And in Mgtow, I think we've lost the Mgtow narrative. We've lost the Mgtow cause because we are buying into this. Because we are like we're doing chameleon purges and we're looking for people that aren't Mgtow and we're saying, oh, these guys, and we know there's some entryism. You just have to be smart enough to know there will be some entryism and keep doing your Mgtow strong. Because if you got a passion for this and you honestly believe in Mgtow, you just present your message and like I do. And I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're saying. I don't care what all the young boys are running around buying into today. I don't care what the newest feminist face is out there because I know she's just an actor. I don't care what they do over there. But when we as Mgtow start funding the very evil that we're talking about, that's when it becomes offensive to me. I think most Mgtows are smart enough and wise enough to not buy into the media and these social senses. Now, if a bomb goes off in Tripoli, and I could see that, I know it's not an actor, and it's a special broadcast that comes all out, and there are some things that you should believe, and there are some things that you shouldn't believe. Gender dynamics in the news is garbage. It's 100% pure state-run garbage. Now, you know what I know is real? That my buddy around the corner here will go down to a divorce court in his neighborhood and even know his wife was screwing around, even though it may not be his kid, he's going to have to pay for that. And that's the narrative. And that is the Mgtow narrative. It's the reels on the street. It's the grassroots movement where we see these things in front of our very eyes. We objectively look at them and we say, this is real. I've had these things happen to me. 30-day quick divorces where I was not allowed to talk, where I was not allowed to get a lawyer in that town that was picked because they had these 30-day quick. This is what Mgtow should be talking about, rather than what some silly girl is saying on the morning show when she's reading off a teleprompter from a narrative that is being written by a professional writer for her boss, because that's what her boss, whatever billionaire it is, wants her to say. That does not bother me because I've already realized that that's fake. Now, the problem here with gender dynamics in the real world is we've lost the ability to separate what is real from what is objectively real, and is what is fake news, what is objectively real to us, or what is a bunch of actors that want you to get all excited about nothing. Now, when you decipher what is objectively real in your life, that's easy. What can I see out my front door? What things affect me? Who's trying to take my money? Who's trying to make me a slave? And then we can develop our own personal Mgtow around that to combat these things in your life. And that's where it becomes real. That's where you're awakened to these things that are going to happen. You ever get a divorce, you will realize what is real and what is not real. If you have children out of wedlock, if you have a baby mama, you will soon realize what is real and what is not real and what is garbage and what is not useful to you. And that's where the Mgtow will start sinking in. It's not a bunch of actors on a TV show. It's not the 5 o'clock news. It's not whatever CNN or Fox News is saying, because they both hire actors. From Stephen Molyneux to Ben Shapiro to all these alt-right guys to the worst feminists you see, they're all actors. They all want to make money around here. They all want to make money with their brand. But you know who they never invite on? You can even get a Paul Elam to come on your show and be the creepy misogynist. And he'll buy right into that. And he'll take that money. And he'll take that platform. And he'll be the creepy misogynist for them. But you know who they don't invite on? They don't invite the real on. They don't invite you or me or a Mgtow, because we don't play those games. Because most of us humans are intrinsically logical, and we do 2.5 million syllogisms in our brain a day, in our very language. And most people know it's fake, but the reals is right out here in front of you. If you want to play MRA games, if you want to play alt-right games, that's fine. Believe in that shit. It's all conspiracy. It's all made up, and it's all actors. But in a Mgtow's mind, in his philosophy, he has to identify. He has to identify what is real, what is objective in this life, what I can see for myself, why I do these things in myself, why I do these things here. What are relative topics to Mgtow? What is quantitative research? What is qualitative research? Quantitative research and data collection is which I did on these things, so I can give an unbiased opinion of what I seen. I do quantitative research, like in the Pussy Riot thing. I went and looked in who bought the film permit, and then I'll tell you what they're doing there. We do qualitative research. What I like to think of myself as a qualitative person, where I collect this information in an attempt to gain some insight and underlying reason and motivation for these phenomena. Qualitative. But when I look around and I apply these two things that I do, why I want to take quantitative data and qualitative data, and why I want to do these, why I look at the facts on all this stuff. And yes, these are the facts. Within 5 minutes, I realized that Nastasia Hooper was a model actress, and she was just reading off a teleprompter. And it becomes laughable to me. It becomes a joke to me, because I did the quantitative research on it. And that's Mgtow, staying in the real, because I don't want to get hit anymore. I don't want to get hemmed up anymore. I don't want to get dragged over the coals as a regular guy. That's what's important in my life. When I get henned up and I start believing in Pixar and Disney, and yes, that stuff is Pixar and Disney. It's the same Pixar and Disney they've been selling you your whole life. They're just reworking it to look like something else. Feminism is garbage. I don't care what feminism is doing. I don't care what feminism does. It's just somebody else's narrative to the world where it hits me. It hits me in my wallet. It hits me in my life when people start coming trying to take things from me. That's where you'll understand the reals. It's almost embarrassing in here that we have to talk about these things. And you know what's really embarrassing? You know what's really embarrassing about Mgtow? That there's about one of me left. There's about one guy that can see through all the garbage and bullshit in here. And there used to be quite a bit of us. And that's almost an embarrassment to what Mgtow has become. And that's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. Do your research. When you see these things, Google is right in the wonderful world of Google, where you can find out anything about any people. You can do your research and look it up and make a conscious decision on your own about what you're seeing. Take all that quantitative data that you've looked up, put it in a package, untie these things, detangle them, start cutting those strings of lies to them, and then you're left with a result. And that result will tell you this shit was bullshit. This shit was garbage. It was stupid. And someone wants me to believe something. Either way they want me to believe something. Either way they want me to believe it is wrong. And it's a lie. Whether they want me to be fighting against it or fighting for it, you're just fighting for a lie. Mgtow, you walk away. You walk away from these things. You go your own way. And in that, you will find your freedom. But we're still left with this real world, this very real world out here that we would like to make a change in, but we can't, because we can't seem to get a bunch of guys together and agree that all that other garbage is just fake garbage. It's fake media. It's fake bullshit. From our president down to Fox, to CNN, to Natasha Hooper, to Pussy Riot. It's all garbage. And if you start buying into that, you're living in a garbage world that's made up, just like Dixie and Disney and Pixar, where you will be required to be the white knight. You will be required to play your part. And if your part is just clicking on them videos and laughing and getting all excited and being like a little tard, that ain't Mgtow. And it never was Mgtow. Mgtow was never supposed to be that. Grassroots movements that impact regular men like you and me and keep us safe. That's what Mgtow's about. It's about an upper level, an upper consciousness that this reals will come from courts and tax collectors and people in your neighborhood. You got to be careful. You got to be better. You got to think better. And that's taking on a system of logic. Start with George Bull. And that's all I wanted to say today, man. When I look around, it just makes me angry what I see anymore. And I know this isn't a popular message, but it's me. Get real, man. Get real. And like always, each and every one of you, man, have your part to play in this thing. Whatever you do, whatever you're doing, you got your little part, and that puts pressure on these people that are selling you garbage. But until we get a lot of men, this thing ain't never going to work. And until we get a lot of men not buying into the fake news and the fake garbage and the Pussy Riot stuff and the Natasha Hoopers that are actresses on the morning shows and the Whoopi Goldbergs and all that stuff, we're just as stupid as the stupidest CSI watcher. That's when you start believing this stuff. That's what every day they got CSI on, and women can watch women getting raped over and over and over again and how they get caught. But the truth of the matter, if you did the FBI research and you looked at the quantitative data on that, 1 in 160,000, you would probably never meet a rape victim in your town. But if you read the news, it's happening everywhere. And Me Too guys are getting Me Too'd. Joe Biden got Me Too'd this morning from his own party. Son of a bitch. But it's up to each and every one of you to keep clear thought about this stuff. Keep clear thought about what's going on and try to change things in your area, in your neighborhood, from grassroots. Letting the judges know they can't get away with that anymore. We're watching and we're angry. And we may be active. And it's going to get scary. Each and every one of you guys are important. Unless you're running around fencing with windmills, fencing with fake feminists, following the mainstream narrative. This will never work. But I have confidence. I have confidence in Mgtow and Mgtow alone. Because we're not the guys they're gonna bring on these shows, because they don't want to hear the truth. They can't pay me enough to say that garbage. I'll say what I want to say. I'll say the real. So they won't never have a Mgtow on. They can buy Big John and put him on that stuff, and he can say all the stupid things that he wants to say. Because he just wants whatever he wants. He just wants what Shapiro wants. He just wants what Mullinex wants. He just wants what that ass tard from Canada up there with the Proud Boys wants. You want a platform where he can make money. And he brought that garbage to Mgtow. Mgtows are too smart for that. We've got our own plans. And our plans aren't being nicey to a bunch of idiots. We want to change the world. And to do that, it's got to be set in the real world, not in the fake world. And that's each and every one of your guys' jobs. I hope you're all having a great day. Sunday. I went out this morning, bought some cheese, got breakfast, bought some batteries for my mouse because my mouse stopped working. And that was my morning. And it was good. It was real and it was honest. And that's what everyday life is about. It's about keeping a philosophy of being happy in life. And most of all in here, guys, thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Mgtows. You guys take care.